There we go. Welcome to the Lil McDermott Radio Show. Fasten your seatbelt because we're going to learn and grow. Here we go. Let's hear that music. I lost my train of thought. It's a full house. Okay, so you'll hear the introduction, Dale, and feel free to add whatever it is.
Thank you.
I can't hear the music at all, Brian. So I don't know if it's okay.
Here's Lillian McDermott.
Welcome to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. And I am so glad that we are here together and we're on the air on this beautiful best day ever. And the purpose of the show, for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. You know, there's a lot of people that have thousands of friends on Facebook and have it's like we've become disconnected. And this is where we connect. This is where we talk about truth. This is a new truth. This is where we heal. This is where we take responsibility. And it becomes part of our everyday life. And I am just excited that today we're going to talk about something that's a little bit different. It is a new truth. And today's a special rendition. It's a full house, too, of Thankful Thursday or Thriving Thursday. I think they're both interchangeable because when you are thankful, you thrive. And so today we are talking about how someone had the courage to go beyond what she was told was right and experience something new for her. Now, today's show, we're going to talk about something that the topic is a product that has been out, it's illegal in the United States, but throughout the world, this product is being used for many things, including fighting addiction, to heal the body from addiction, helping the brain not crave a certain thing that will damage your body. It's called ibogaine. Okay, so I am not advocating this whatsoever. We are sharing a story, the story and the journey of Anslyn Ryan. It's Thriving Thursday special rendition. We also have Dale Bellis of Liberty Health Share, who's going to update us on what's happening in the world now, because we take for granted our health, but what happens when somebody else is making decisions for us? So we've got a full show today, and I hope that if you're driving or if for those of you who are listening, and if you have any questions, you can call 407-373-5959. And so I ask you the question, have you ever been addicted to something you wanted to stop? So as I said earlier, this is a special Thriving Thursday edition with Anslyn Ryan because she became addicted. And I don't know, perhaps maybe I'll let her tell her story, but when you become addicted to something, you are trying to numb out the pain from something else. And so she attempted to rehabilitate herself only to return to her habits. And it was a vicious cycle that she ended. And she's going to talk about her failures have become her successes and how she became an addict and that became her passion. You see, everything has a purpose in life. Even what you consider your failures are your crowning moments. And so it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge. I am grateful that we're going to start the show with Anslyn Ryan, and then we're going to bring Dale Bellis later on to share about healthcare and what's happening that we have got to take charge of that as well. So welcome, since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge. I'm grateful to Anslyn and Dale are both here to do just that. Welcome, both of you, to the Lynn McDermott Radio Show.
It is a pleasure for me to be here, Lillian, and look forward to sharing together.
Yes. And Anslyn, really quick, I want you to share very quickly your story and what led you to addiction.
Well, Lily, like a lot of people, as a child, I had some trauma in my life. I had an abusive stepfather. I was hurt and also had chronic migraines since I was a small child. So I was medicated by the time I was 14. And, that was the time I also started to drink, which led, of course, to other things. And by the time I was in college, I was experimenting with many things. At first it was it seemed to be the normal experimentation that a lot of kids go through.
Sure.
But I also was diagnosed with ADD, and so I had a lot going on. It was, I'm sure, the hurt, the trauma, the constant need for excitement and something new. The fact that I was so medicated, that seemed the normal, that was the normal for me, so it didn't seem like a big reach.
Okay, so we're going to be talking to Anslyn later on, and she's going to share her journey from addiction to recovery. And we're also going to bring Dale Billis of Liberty Health Share to give us an update of what's happening in Washington and how we can take our health back when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, so during the break, we can talk. And I want to remind you that this is recorded, okay? So Anslyn, is there anything that is off that you don't want to talk about? I just want to make sure. Okay.
No, I'm completely transparent.
Okay. Well, when we return, Dale, we're going to start with you and talk about Liberty Health Share. If you'd like to stick around and be a part of this conversation and this journey, I don't know, have you ever had known someone that's dealt with addiction?
Yes, I have, and have had great opportunity to be involved with those in recovery. So I'm familiar with the pathway.
Well, if you're welcome to stay with us, if you want to. If you can't because you have other appointments or anything, I could understand. Just let me know during the break what you would like to do. So right, I'm excited. We missed you last time.
Well, thank you for missing me, and I missed you.
So for those of you who are watching, Liberty Health Share is it's where I go to when I need my health care taken care of, because I gave up on insurance about 2 years now, Dale. And,
wow.
It started off with an interview. Learning about this health shares. And I thought, that can't be good. Isn't it amazing, Dale, how we keep ourselves from learning things that are good for us just because we think they aren't so?
Yeah, just that's right. Just open to new categories.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how long has Liberty Health Share been around?
Well, we've been operating as we are right now for the last 4 years, but the organization's been in place since 1995.
1995. Yeah.
It's
quite a growth, and it's coming at a very, very good time. And I'm glad that you guys are open to holistic. I don't know if you guys have done any work outside of the United States for some of the treatments that are beyond what they consider legal in the United States.
Right. We sure have.
Oh, yeah. Good. I would love to hear about that. Okay. Here we go. I can hear it now, Brian. Thank you.
373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lynn McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. And today's teachers are Anslyn Ryan. She's going to share her story in a little bit about her addiction and her journey to recovery. It's an amazing story, one that you will want to listen to and share with anyone who is an addict in your family or someone who has the potential of that. And so I'm grateful to her for sharing her story. But now I want to shift because, as you know, I'm all about health and doing whatever it takes to be healthy and be responsible. These two things, these two commitments that I have in my life have given me one of the best combinations of a sponsor, because that is their purpose. And so Dale is the executive director of Liberty Health Share, and I'm so excited that you are on board with us, Dale. And I want to thank you for coming on and sharing a little bit about you and what it is that Liberty Health Share does. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Lillian. It's a pleasure. I really respond to your theme for today, Thrive Thursday.
Yeah, Thriving Thursday.
For the reason being, the arena that is so meaningful to us all, because we are built for relationships, created by God to be in connection with others.
Yes.
Anslyn is here to share her story about her progress through dealing with the inner pain and turmoil of her life, and how often addiction is an escape from painful relationships.
Yes.
And I often refer to Liberty Health Share as relational health care, because we are a community of men, women, families all across the nation who, on the basis of our faith and values, help pay each other's medical costs.
Yeah.
And we don't do that just simply as a financial transaction, but rather every month we set aside funds to assist in another person's medical expense. That community is then there to help me if I have costs, but my dollars are going to another person every month. I see my money on my online secure account flow from my, what we call a share box, directly to another person who has a medical bill. And at the same time, I can message them with cheer or encouragement or prayer. And like a true social community, stand with each other during those times of medical expense needs. And so it's really relational connectivity around the arena of healthcare, and we're committed to paying each other's medical bills. We crowdfund a member every time they have a medical expense, and we're doing that to the extent of about $18 million a month right now.
$18 million a month. I wonder how much we're saving the government on $18 million a month, because I know that as a member of Liberty Health Share, and that's how I was saying to you off the air, you know, it was probably one of the best interviews for my learning lessons, to be able to take that leap and abandon insurance that wasn't supporting me. And what I love about Liberty Health Share as a member is that I can go to any doctor I choose, and I clear it through you guys first. There are times that I clear it through you guys, but you're more than open. Liberty Health Share is open to alternative health. It's open to getting healthy, period. Share a little bit about how we can become members of Liberty Health Share.
Sure. LibertyHealthShare.org is the best place to go for information. That's our website. There's an information packet. We call it a decision guide that you can receive delivered electronically right to your email. Simply put in your name and email address. There's a toll-free number. You can call, get all your questions answered, because as you've just said, Lillian, it is a mind shift change. We've been told for generations the only way to pay for medical bills is through insurance.
Yes.
It's a whole different methodology or mindset, a paradigm of mutual aid, of mutual assistance, of member helping member. And we set our own rules. We call them guidelines. And we share in each other's medical costs. So get those questions answered, toll-free number there. Peruse the pages of the website. LibertyHealthShare.org is the best place to go for information to find out how to become involved.
Yes, absolutely. And that number is 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-58 Liberty, and it's 855-585-4237 or libertyhealthshare.org. Now, I was mentioning earlier addiction, and so many people are addicted in the United States, all over the world. How does Liberty Health Share help people that are going through this recover?
Well, obviously, there are many times a medical component to addiction. And so we would assist in those medical costs associated with that care. But we certainly support the recovery process, the steps of action, because it's all about taking personal responsibility
Sure.
for our lives, for the care of our health. And that's really the steps of recovery themselves, is regaining control and responsibility for the care of our bodies and our relationships and our health. And so we wholly support and encourage that recovery process of that.
Okay, so Anslyn, as you know, she's going to be sharing her story, and she has a question for you. I love it. So go ahead, Anslyn. Go ahead and ask
Wonderful.
Dale.
First of all, Dale, I just love this idea. I mean, I've never heard of anything like this, so I am fascinated. I live in Mexico. Is this open to people in other countries?
Oh, thank you. It does not matter where you live in any part of the globe, because it's an online community of connection with one another. And so irrespective of boundaries and nations, we have folks in countries literally scattered around the globe. And so as long as you have access to the internet and are able to participate by setting your share amount aside, because we ask our members every month to set aside a particular share amount that goes to another person, or in the event of your medical expense, those shares come to you to pay your medical bills. So as long as you have access to the internet, the ability to set those funds aside and submit the medical bills in English, which is a worldwide, it's the business language of the world, so that's not typically a problem. So long as we can receive the bills in English, it doesn't matter what country you live in.
And I want to say, when he talks about Anslyn, when he talks about shared, it's really what insurance would call a monthly fee, right?
Sure.
But this is a membership fee. And just so that you know, and for my listening friends, a single membership can be as low as $150 for a single person. And for me, that I'm over 30, it's $200. And once my non-shared amount, which is considered a deductible, right, Dale?
Well, that's correct. It would be the first dollars in the course of a membership year we take responsibility to pay first. It's $500 for a single, $1,000 for a couple, $1,500 for a family. Then we start sharing in each other's costs after that, up to $1 million per
incident. Yes, go ahead, Anslyn.
Yeah. And I'm curious. I mean, you mentioned that that you guys do cover like let's say this ibogaine treatment. If someone were to go for was a member and then wanted to go for an alternative treatment like this in another country, that would be something that would be considered.
We do, and we do participate in and share in those costs associated with holistic alternative treatments.
Yeah.
And those decisions were made by the members about 2 years ago. We put that question to our membership, and they overwhelmingly wanted to utilize alternative methods of treatment. And
yes.
So that is an eligible arena of expense.
And it's a wonderful. So thank you for asking that, Anslyn. And so Anslyn is talking about ibogaine, which this is part of her recovery and her journey. Now, Dale, I'm having a hard time. I don't know if you saw my message, but I'm having a hard time hearing you. If you could get closer to your mic, that would be great. Now,
yes, I apologize. I'm not sure. Is that better?
It's a little better. So I want to share with you, my listening friend, that Liberty Health Share is not insurance. it's better than insurance. And I'm a member of Liberty Health Share, and that's one of the reasons I reached out to them and said, I would love it if we could partner up, because I truly believe in this. I was paying $1,200 a month with my husband and I for as a couple, $1,200 a month, and we had like a $5,000 deductible. When I decided to walk away from my insurance as a couple, we would have paid $300. And Dale, what was it? Did you said that was the
it's $199 for a single, $299 for a couple, or $449 for a family of 3 or more.
Yes, and then once that non-shared amount, which is quote unquote a deductible, is met, for me as a single, it's $500.
That's correct.
Once that $500 is paid, Liberty Health Share picks up the rest. The members of Liberty Health Share help me pay my costs. Isn't it a wonderful thing? What's going on right now in Washington, Dale, that we would like to share? Any updates that we need to?
Well, it's astonishing to me, Lillian, that our political leaders are confounded in the arena of healthcare, struggling to find solutions. And there seems to be the mentality, particularly since the passage of the Affordable Care Act, that the federal government has a role in determining the care of our health.
Yes.
And so that's really why I am so proud to provide an opportunity for people to learn about Liberty Health Share, because it really does return the power, the control back to the individual to really exercise their freedom in the arena, in the care of their health. Right now, with the discussion going on about the tax bill, there's consideration about eliminating the individual penalty for those who don't have insurance.
Yes.
That may transpire. There's a difference between the two versions, between the Senate and the House, and they'll try to work out those distinctions or differences. But I'm just grateful with the healthcare sharing model. We existed long before the Affordable Care Act.
Yes.
We'll exist long after, because it's premised on a whole different basis and mentality of mutual aid, neighbor helping neighbor, member assisting member, and that's a framework for meeting healthcare costs that produces individual accountability and individual freedom.
Absolutely, and I absolutely love everything that you do. Liberty Health Share does, and I've been a member for 2 years now, almost 2 years, and I have been amazed. At first I was skeptical of leaving my insurance, but
Sure.
Once I made that leap and embraced Health Share and embraced the fact that they embraced my way of living, I was just I'm speechless about it, because we don't even know that this exists. So I'm glad to be a part of spreading the good news about Liberty Health Share. And Dale, I know that we're going to have you back for just a little bit on when we return. So we're going to continue our conversation about recovery when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay. So Dale, so the differences of health insurance. So many people don't understand the language yet, because
Right.
the moment you're using certain terminology that makes it look like insurance, the insurance company doesn't like to play in the same sandbox as health share. So let's compare apples to apples. When somebody is saying shared costs, what would that translate to in the insurance world?
Well, our share amounts would be equivalent to what someone would send as a premium. Our annual unshared amount would be similar to that of a deductible.
Okay.
And so we don't have co-pays, co-insurance. It's just simply our initial responsibility in the course of the year, our AUA, and then members start sharing those costs. So when a medical bill gets submitted, we process it, receive it on behalf of the member, process it according to our guidelines. It shows up in the individual's online account, and then a sufficient number of members send their share amount that month to to meet that expense.
Very good. Very good. And so, Dale, how can you guys afford, being that my membership fee, which is called, like what we would pay for our monthly share of it is $200. And
Yeah.
when I reach 500 of my own personal expenses, you guys cover 100%. But that's not all. I also have wellness visit. Can you share a little bit about wellness visits?
Sure. Simply because we are a health conscious community, we simply want our members to utilize those resources with their health advisors, and so simply we make eligible for sharing expense annual visits, whether it's physicals or a wellness visit in the course of a year, up to $400 for a wellness visit. We also share in the typical kinds of diagnostic tests, wellness tests like mammograms or PSA tests or et cetera. So
Yes.
all of those sorts of wellness expenses are eligible for sharing, just simply because we want our members to pay attention to their health markers,
Yes.
and be aware of any pending issues that can be nipped in the bud.
Absolutely. And so that's one of the things I just like scratch my head, how you can do all this plus have $1 million per incidence. That's it's I don't think my health insurance had that ever. So
Well, it just simply is a formula where the share amounts rise or fall depending upon the behavior or engagement of the members. So being a health conscious community focused on taking advantage of low cost in healthcare, it makes a difference.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dale. We're going to introduce you real quick, and then we'll say goodbye.
All right.
Till the next time we see each other.
Thank you.
Once again,
Yes.
here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lynn McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. And today's teachers are Anslyn Ryan, which we'll be getting her back in a little bit. And then we also have Dale Bellis. He is with Liberty Health Share, the executive director of Liberty Health Share, who is just, I love having him on the show because he's like a breath of fresh air. Thank you so much, Dale, for sharing the information about Liberty Health Share, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again the next time you're on.
Thank you so much, Lillian. Appreciate the opportunity. God bless.
You too. You too. And for those of you who want to learn more about Liberty Health Share, the number you can go to is 855-58-LIBERTY or 855-585-4237, or you can go to libertyhealthshare.org. Thank you again, Dale, for everything that you're doing to keep health costs down and us healthy.
Thank you, Lillian.
Thank you. So now we're going to switch gears with Anslyn Ryan. She had shared a little bit about her story of addiction and her journey. Now, let me ask you, Anslyn, and thank you so much for being brave and sharing your time and sharing your story. Now, how many times had you tried? I mean, how long would you consider yourself an addict? You said that you were experimenting when you were in college and you thought that was normal. But at what point do you say, okay, there's a problem?
I would think probably a couple years after that, probably in my mid-20s, I got into some legal trouble. It wasn't just for fun anymore, well, and it wasn't before that, but I didn't realize, but it started to be a thing that I just went to whenever I was, had uncomfortable emotions or pain. I didn't know how to process through those emotions. So I went to what I knew, which was self-medicating.
Yes, and you've been self-medicated, or you were being medicated when you were a child because you had migraines. Now, did they ever try to check to see if there was anything going on in your body that was causing migraines?
At the time, it wasn't, that wasn't so much a thing. And it still isn't, unfortunately, our society just wants to put a Band-Aid on things. I find most doctors, I'm just going to speak for myself, just want to throw some medication at it. So that wasn't really something that I found people looked at in my case.
Yes.
It was just kind of like, here's some medicine. And I wasn't given opiates, maybe sometimes for some severe pain, but I was given other medication, strong medications, and then also antidepressants and things at an early age as a teenager. So it just seemed not a big deal to take a pill or to take a substance to feel different.
Yes. And so at what point did you reach to say, okay, I need help towards my recovery?
I mean, I didn't take it seriously until I had my son, but I did overdose in my early 20s, mid 20s. And, unfortunately I didn't take it seriously then, but I did, there was a bit of I was in a detox facility for a week at that stage, but I did not continue with any kind of rehabilitation. And so, but that definitely should take off because I died.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so, how many times did you try to rehab yourself?
Oh gosh, I can't even tell you, but there were several big moves. I moved to New Zealand at one point, and I had been using amphetamines, and I got clean there. I mean, I still drank. There was always something.
Yeah.
So, but I could get off the heavy drugs. I was, always had a very strong will. So for whatever amount of time. So I would say upwards of, 10 to 15 times, and try different things. And a lot of time it was moving to a different place, getting away from the situation, which can be helpful if you're doing the work alongside of it. But I just didn't have the knowledge, the experience, to know how to heal.
Okay. And so the different drugs, so you said you were addicted to pain pills, or were you addicted to other things too?
It was always just whatever. At one stage, I was addicted to amphetamines for several years, but I did other things at the same time. I was what you would call a poly user, or there's a name for it. I used whatever was there, but I did become an opiate addict and a full-blown heroin addict about 10 years ago. An IV user. So for 3 years, I was in that stage. So, I mean, I was a full-blown addict. Okay.
So at what point did you discover ibogaine? And tell us what ibogaine is.
Okay. So ibogaine is a root from Africa. It's a naturally occurring alkaloid from a boga African shrub. It's been used by the Bawiti tribe for hundreds, if not thousands of years, ceremonial. And I had maybe seen a documentary on it once, but it just seemed so crazy. And at the time I wasn't, in my opiate addiction as much. So I kind of just filed that away. And then 3 years ago, I had 2 years ago, I had a 2-year-old, and I was living in Mexico, and tramadol, which acts like an opiate, sold over the counter there. And I was I had gotten off heroin years before, but I went back to that opiate-like pill because it was legal.
Yeah.
And I knew that I needed help. My fiance found out I had a son, and he gave me an ultimatum that I get help or not, I lose my family.
Okay, so your fiance found out that you were using, not that you had a son, that you were using, and that he would threaten to take away your son if you wouldn't stop. So I want to say that ibogaine is something it's a substance that is a natural substance that is illegal in the United States. I'm not advocating this. I'm just sharing with you that if you decide that you want to do your own research, maybe you're dealing with a reoccurring addiction, maybe this is something that you want to look at or consider, but I'm not advocating. I don't have an expert on. She is not an expert. She has experienced this in her life, and that's why this is a Thriving Thursday show as opposed to her as an expert. I just want to clarify that because I am learning about ibogaine like I learned about ashwagandha, and those are two, they're called hallucinogenics, drugs that are naturally processed from a plant. And just like, isn't heroin a natural, or is that heroin synthetic?
I mean, it does come from a plant, but it is a little different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were addicted to a lot of things. So you discovered ibogaine, and what did you do when you learned about it? Did you think it was a miracle cure? Or?
I did. I thought, I can't believe this. You know, I knew I was going to be facing a lot of withdrawals. I had gone cold turkey before, and I didn't know if I could handle that, you know, and I had been through the Western rehab, you know, kind of cycle, and I knew for me, I felt that was trauma on top of trauma, and I did not want to go there. So when I did find this online, I was like, wow, this is a plant that can interrupt addiction, and you don't feel any withdrawals, opiate withdrawals, and I was kind of like, sign me up. But I did do some research, and I did, you know, there was some fear there. It's a very intense, it's considered the strongest psychedelic on earth. So it's not an easy, is a beautiful thing, but it's not an easy thing.
So how do they administer ibogaine?
They do it different ways, but I took it in a pill form.
Okay, so you take the pill, and how quickly do you feel any difference, and what does it do to your brain?
Okay, so I can't remember. Maybe I felt something. It's different for everybody. I don't want to say that, and I second everything you say. You know, I'm not advocating this for anybody. This is just my story, and I just want to say also, this is not something you do on your own. You do not order it off the internet.
Okay.
I mean, and this is something that needs to be medically supervised.
Sure.
Because it can be dangerous if mixed with other medicines, or if your health isn't. So you do need to be checked out by doctors.
So you went to a center to do this?
I did. I went to a center, and you know, in Tijuana, Mexico, and it was so out of my comfort zone, but I did it, and it can also be used psychospiritually. So it's not just getting rid of the withdrawals. It takes you into a lucid dreaming state. It's called one erogenic. I don't know if medicine. I don't know if I'm saying that right, because it can stimulate REM sleep, where you can experience a dream state. So it's really looking at yourself, yes, on the inside, which is hard.
So everything that you had been avoiding all those years, you were able to do with ibogaine. Once you were administered this dose, you were able to look at your life and heal from it?
There was definitely some healing. It was the beginning. I'll say it was the beginning.
Okay, and we're going to continue this conversation with Anslyn Ryan when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Yeah, and I'm let me see.
Sure.
Now, because we have had so many things going on prior to, we had Liberty Health Share. I want to dive deeper off the air about your story. What did you lose? Let me just ask you, what were your payoffs for being high all the time?
So what did I gain?
Yes.
What okay.
Why did you? Why would you choose that over dealing with, like, now you're dealing with things? Why would you choose to escape from it? What were the payoffs from being high?
There was several reasons. One, of course, is because there's several reasons. One, of course, is that's kind of what I knew, my comfort zone. You know, I started so early. You know, I was really a teenager. when I started self-medicating. So I didn't really know anything else. And then the other reason, I mean, it gave me a false sense of well-being, and I was constantly trying to balance how I felt. I was like a chemist, trying to get to this, always trying to achieve this perfect feelings. Of course it didn't work that way, but that's what I was looking for, is not feeling any discomfort,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
not processing those emotions.
So what was the price for being high all the time?
The price was, I totally was so far from my true self, so disconnected from who I am, that I was so miserable. I was literally suicidal. I had no idea that life could be so joy-filled as it is now. I had no joy, and everything was external. I had no idea of how to reach inside myself for happiness. I was just reaching externally. That's really all I knew, and it wasn't working.
Well, and I know that you've done some great work. I know how we met, and I know you've done some great work on yourself, but even that wasn't enough for you.
No, I started with the personal growth work, and that was the beginning. That was the beginning when my true essence kind of peaked out. Like, here I am, but it also brought my addiction rearing as well. Like, it didn't want to let go.
Okay, because that comfort zone wants us to be miserable. Yeah. Okay. So we're on the last segment of the show, and perhaps maybe we can have you come back when we could tell your story and give it justice. And here we go. And welcome back to the Lil McDermott Radio Show, where I call a special edition of Thriving Thursday. Earlier, we heard from Del Bellis of Liberty Health Share, and I want to encourage you that if you would like to learn more about Liberty Health Share, go to libertyhealthshare.org. That's libertyhealthshare.org. And of course, you hear the spots, the commercials on my show. Like-minded as you get for a sponsor. So I'm grateful to Del Billis for coming on and sharing his journey with us, as well as Anslyn Ryan, who is here to share her story of addiction to recovery. Now, for those of you who are just tuning in, Anslyn has been addicted to just about almost everything, including heroin. And I hear heroin is a very difficult addiction to beat. And as we were talking off the air, I asked the question about the prices and the payoffs of her addiction. And I'm just going to give you a real quick rundown. And you can also go to whenyouneedafriend.com and check out my YouTube video. Just click on YouTube and listen to the story of Anslyn. So basically, she said that her comfort zone, it kept her in her comfort zone. All she knew was numbing and medicating. And she also had a false sense of well-being. If you're addicted to something, those two things that she said just rung really loud. Comfort zone can kill you. And false sense of well-being. Wow, what a great way to put it, Anslyn. And then I asked her what her prices were to being high all the time. And Anslyn, I would like for you to share real quick the prices that you paid for not dealing with your issues emotionally.
Sure, Lily. I was so disconnected from myself and my true essence that I was literally living in misery. I was suicidal. I was living joylessly. I had no idea of the joy that I could have, that I have now. I just really wanted to give up. I was tired.
Yeah. So you discovered illegal in the United States, but very legal everywhere else. It's a substance called ibogaine that you were able to go to a clinic, a treatment center in Mexico. And what did ibogaine do for you that other rehabs didn't do?
The ibogaine, first of all, it can actually reset your brain. so that you are in the pre-opiate state, kind of just gives you a reset. So it not only got rid of the withdrawals, but it also helps with the cravings. Stays in your body for 30 to 90 days. And I kind of like to, my explanation, I'm not an expert like you said, but I think of your brain kind of a little more plastic. So you're able to learn healthy new habits in that 30 to 90 day period. But I want to say that ibogaine is not a magic bullet. I had to go through it twice because I relapsed after the first time because I did not realize that I needed to do work along with the medicine. It's a partnership. You have to work with it. And I did not have that knowledge, and I did not have the support. So the second time I did get that support, I got some recovery coaching, and I'm proud to say that I'm on my way to become a recovery coach.
Isn't that amazing? Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. So a huge thing is integrating after the medicine. It is a wonderful thing. It can really give you a look inside yourself and help you start to process those emotions that you've been avoiding, and eradicate withdrawals, interrupt addiction. But you have to work with it, and you have to do a lot of work within yourself.
Yeah. Now I had shared off the air that, I know the work you've done because this is where I became a life coach, the place that you did some personal growth, and knowing that wasn't enough, knowing that you have worked on yourself, but that wasn't enough. You needed to do something else, and you finally found your truth. And by the way, I am not advocating ibogaine. I'm asking you to consider, if you want to learn more, to research it yourself, because we have it. I will probably get an ibogaine expert, an ashwagandha expert on the show, because these are drugs that are changing lives that are illegal in the United States. Now, has anyone died from ibogaine, from taking this medication?
A few people have died from it because they were not using it properly. If you mix it with other substances, it can be life-threatening. If you do not get an EKG, if your heart is not in good shape, it can be life-threatening. So that's why I say that it needs to be done in a reputable clinic that you would research. And it's a serious thing, but but done safely, a wonderful thing that's changing lives.
Well, I just want to compare and contrast. And again, I am not saying that I'm advocating this. I'm just saying I want to compare and put it into perspective. How many people lose their life because of addiction? Much more than people who have died from ibogaine. So with that in mind, I just wanted to enhance the fact that we've got to do whatever it takes to embrace the life we want to live. So your brain was reset to pre-addiction with this ibogaine substance. Was it expensive to do that?
It can cost. I went to a lower, a no frills place. It depends on what you're looking for. You can go to a place that has all the amenities, and it can be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 for a treatment that's a week. I went to a place that was more than half less than that because I needed to go to an aftercare facility I wanted to go to an aftercare facility afterwards. So I went to a no frills, but very safe place, just very basic. Yeah. And so that can be found as well, but it just depends on what you're looking for. But it is, definitely at least a few $1,000s. But I don't know I just know what I researched. So sure. It would be up to a person to research and see what they could find. And it's different countries or different things.
So how long has it been since you've been clean and sober? So I'm assuming that you're not drinking alcohol as well, right?
I am not drinking alcohol. And actually, I released that 5 months ago. And so for 5 months, I've absolutely nothing. And I didn't drink very much at all, but I realized that was not serving me. And especially becoming a recovery coach. And it was an unhealthy attachment.
Yeah.
So and I'm so happy that I did release that. I've never been happier.
So when did you go through your second ibogaine treatment?
About a year and a half ago.
So you've been clean and sober for a year and a half, and then 5 months ago you gave up all numbing devices, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, congratulations. That's wonderful. And so how are you today? What are you feeling today that you would like to share to someone who is an addict that's ready to give up, that feels that they are not worthy to joy or happiness? What would you say?
Oh, thank you, Lily, for asking. I would say that it is so possible for any of you, and I've been in that desperate place. And but today I am so full of joy and hope for others and happiness. And, I actually thought to myself yesterday that this place that I'm in is what I was always trying to achieve when I was medicating myself. It truly does feel like a miracle, because I'm just, and so full of gratitude, so full of gratitude. So, it's very peaceful and grounded. And just, I know that I'm a true essence now, and I'm so connected to that. So it's a beautiful place to be.
Isn't it amazing that the closer you become to yourself and the closer you become to God, and the easier it is for you to truly see things as they are, as opposed to what you make them out to be. So congratulations, Anslyn, for your recovery. I'm very proud of you, and I'm looking forward to an update pretty soon.
Thank you, Lily.
Thank you. And to you, my listening friend, well, you heard something different. And if you know somebody who's struggling with it, look it up, check it out, see if there's something that will work for you. In the meantime, just know I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. This is Lil McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Oh boy. Okay. So much to do today with Dale and Liberty Health Share. And again, I want to remind you, if you want to go to libertyhealthshare.org, you can do so. I would love to have you back, Anslyn, when you can tell your story. What would you like to share that was your number one discovery about yourself that was keeping you from your truth, your joy, yourself?
That I'm so worthy of love from myself. I think that's one of the biggest things we don't realize, because we're told differently by society, that we are so worthy, and we are loved by God and the universe. And I'm able to love myself now in a way that I never was before.
What do you think? I mean, resetting your brain prior to your addiction still puts you in a place of where people were mistreating you. How did you deal with that? How did you deal with your past now that you couldn't do before?
Well, Lily, at first, that's why I relapsed, is because I didn't know how. When I went back the second time, I wasn't giving up. I had seen too much of truth and glimpses of my true self to know that I did not want to give up. And I kept seeking. And, that's when I got the coaching, and just having a conscious conversation with somebody once a week that reflects, reading, and learning to process those emotions. I'm still working through those things and healing. It's an ongoing process. And I work with other plant medicine. So it's a combination of all those things. All the tools that you and I both learned from the work, continuing to learn about and use those. I mean, going through this course of recovery coaching has been a huge healing mechanism or tool for me, because I've been healing through learning about my brain, how to deal with my chronic pain. My coach is a specialist in chronic pain.
Wow.
So I've learned how to process my pain and deal with it in a healthier way than medicating it.
So the pain that you're talking about, is it physical or emotional?
It's, of course, both, but I have chronic migraines.
You still have them?
I do.
So have you looked into nutrition and what you're eating that could
Oh,
cause
yeah.
that?
And that's a process as well. I think that's one of my last addictions is food. So I'm actually going through a really cool recovery course right now that is wonderful, and I'm actually using that with food right now.
Wow. Wow. Isn't it amazing? We've been talking about food addictions and how difficult those are because you got to eat. You don't got to do drugs, but you got to eat.
Exactly.
And it's what, I want to encourage you to check out Dr. Joel Furman, a nutritarian lifestyle. Maybe you can embrace it. You can go to whenyouneedafriend.com and check out the Dr. Joel Furman and the way he everything that it's micro and macronutrients, everything you need for your body to thrive. Because that's another thing. If your body is deficient, it's going to crave what it needs, and we might misinterpret what it is.
Totally. I think when I look at this healing process, it is a holistic thing. It is encompassing mind, body, soul,
Yes.
spirit. And I think, my dream is to open an aftercare facility center, and I will encompass all of that. So thank you for that advice. I will look that up.
Yeah, so an aftercare center is what you would like to do. So the place that you went to that was no frills, we're not going to advertise for it, but
No.
the place that you went to that is no frills, they didn't have an aftercare.
No, most places that work with do the treatment, it's just a week thing, and there's only a couple of aftercare facilities or centers right now. There's such a need for it for people to go after they've taken the plant medicine to heal, somewhere to go after to integrate. And my center for women only, and it will not be based on plant medicine. It will be based on everyday habits to integrate back into your lives, to include, helping people connect within their own community for when they go home, so that they can continue to be in healthy environments and find their true selves.
Sure.
And be coached.
Very good. Very good. Isn't it amazing? Here you're thinking, man, this addiction thing is just horrible. But this addiction thing has allowed you to come from a place of knowing, so that when you help somebody, you can say, I've been there and look at my life. 1.5 years, that's wonderful that you've been dealing with this and healing, and now you can give back, which is what you and I know the work is the fourth step in taking responsibility. How can I, or the fourth question, how can I give back what I have received? And how wonderful that you encountered ibogaine. Real quick, how is ibogaine similar or different to ashwagandha?
I'm so sorry, but I'm not familiar with ashwagandha. I'm going to look it up after this.
Okay.
And I wanted to piggyback off of what you just said. I just want to say that I'm so thankful for my addiction. Honestly, I would not be here without it. And I know that my true north, my path, is to help other people find within themselves their own healing. And I'm thankful for every relapse, every dark place I was in. I've really learned to transform that suffering into something so beautiful. I am absolutely thankful, grateful, and I'm so grateful for you to have me here to be able to share this story. And I've been praying for the past few days that it would reach someone, even one person that might be hurting or in need of this information.
Well, I tell you what, it'll be posted everywhere. So you can do that too. And again, I wish we would have had more time on the air, but I'm glad that we have this time that we can still share some of your personal thoughts. I'd love to, after 1.5 years of you doing this, what has been your greatest awakening or aha moment or accomplishment in this time?
Oh gosh, that's such a tough question, because there's like aha moments.
But what's been the one that you go back to when you're feeling a little down, or maybe old habits creep up, what's that memory that you go to?
You know what? It is the knowledge that I can draw everything I need from right inside of myself. I don't need to go anywhere else externally for my happiness or my peace or my center. It's right here with me.
Amen.
Always.
Amen. That's what we talk about on the show all the time. So who was that voice in your head that you released?
You know, my critic,
Yeah.
my judger, the voice that told me I wasn't good enough,
Mm-hmm.
That I wasn't worthy of love. I released that.
Do you know whose voice that was?
Oh, probably, you know, my stepfather and my, probably that.
Isn't it amazing how we run away from people that treat us that way and we continue their work in our head?
Amazing. And you know, I created, I'm sure, a lot of from my own limiting beliefs from, you know, all kinds of, I wouldn't put the blame just totally on him, you know, from society. I think just living in today's society of disconnection and consumerism, that we're traumatized, you know, and so I have to say it's a combination, I think.
So where are you today? What's your relationship life with your family and your friends, the community you're in?
It is just really beautiful. It's been such a process. I have to say that I am right now, I live in Mexico full time in La Paz, Mexico, but right now I'm at home, and it's probably one of the first times I've been here. I'm in Georgia and I've seen a lot of my family, and it's probably the first time since I was a little girl that I'm my true self. And it's been, you know, I've had comments of how peaceful I am and grounded, and you know, I'm sorry I'm getting teared up because it's such a beautiful thing for me, you know, to really connect with people in a way that I haven't been able to do in so long, maybe ever.
That's wonderful that now you can truly give yourself the you know, when we keep ourselves from our true self. I remember sharing that for 19 years my mom would say things about my dad to me, and I remember feeling later on that I was kept from my father for 19 years. You know, it's like it wasn't intentional. It was just that I was my mom's best friend, and she would share what her husband would do to her, not necessarily my father, you know. And so I kind of took on her anger. And but when I released that and I realized, oh my gosh, what did I do? I kept myself from my father. And, you know, I have a great relationship with my father and my mother as well. I mean, those are things that happen, childish things that happened in the past. But then we grow and we realize, gosh, you know, that power that created us gave us the power to create what you have today. And when we take away all the noise and we're able to see ourselves the way we're seen by our Creator, it's priceless.
Very beautiful.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. Congratulations. I'm glad that not only are you in Georgia with your family, you got to share some time with us. And is there anything else that you'd like to share before we go?
I would just like to share that for anybody out there that feels hopeless, because in the system we're in, it is not geared to help people to thrive, you know, and don't give up. You know, there are so many good things out there, and you can find me on Facebook. Feel free to message me, you know.
How can someone get a hold of you?
I'm on Facebook as Anslyn Ryan,
Mm-hmm.
and you can instant message me. My email is there as well. So, you know, I just want to say that there's so much beauty and so much wonder, and that recovery doesn't have to be boring or awful or miserable. It can be beautiful and transformative, and you know, there's just so much. So don't give up, you know, and reach out, research, because there's other options.
Very good. I will let that be the last word. Thank you, Anslyn, for sharing your thoughts today and introducing us to a possibility. I've never, I guess my addiction would have been sugar, but once I started eating whole food plant-based, I don't crave it. I crave a module date or an apple or a blueberry, and I don't crave the processed sugars anymore. So I would say that would be my closest thing to an addiction. And food addictions are tough. They really are tough because you got to eat. You don't have to do drugs. You do have to eat. So I want to encourage you to do whatever it takes to discover your true self, just like Anslyn did, and leave no stone unturned. And this conversation is going to continue because I'm going to commit to getting an expert on the show to talk about a little bit more about ibogaine and the risks and the benefits of, and you decide what it is that you would like to do. But thank you again, Anslyn, for being part of the Lynn McDermott Radio Show, and I look forward to our next conversation. And to you, my viewing friends, I look forward to meeting you again. See ya.